we dealt with what I would call the these particular cards, the tarot cards in the past, um, and also we're going to deal with what I would call the scriptures, the Bible, and then also we're going to deal with what we call the area of what we call Kabbalah, or Kabbalah, whichever way you like to pronounce it. And so I'd like you to welcome Phil Langdon and let him introduce himself and what he's about.
Hi, my name's Phil Langdon. I'm from London. I'm 55. I had spiritual ascension in 2014, December, so 11 years ago now. And I've been talking about it and writing about it ever since. And we discuss these issues that are involved in spiritual ascension, or salvation as it's known in Christianity.
Yes, indeed, it is salvation.
That's right.
Um, but it's not what the Christian church teaches, is it?
Right. And the thing is, I saw
some.
some.
Do something real quick as you're talking.
Yeah. I saw a video on. You okay?
Yeah, I'm here.
I saw a video
Something
a couple of
happened?
days ago about some guy on YouTube saying that what is known as salvation is not salvation. You know, all you get these days is people who know nothing pretending they know things that they don't know, because it presents well or it sounds good. There's no one to back up the opposite point of view. No one to challenge them.
You
So they get away with it.
create anything you want to say.
Yeah, people destroy
Yeah, you say-
destroy reality and truth to make money. Yeah, this is humanity. This is what
Yes.
human beings are all about. They don't care about truth. They just care about filling their pockets. You know, I think
Right,
that's disgusting.
It's all about making money.
I'm disgusted by humanity, basically. I'm disgusted by their methods and all the things they think about and waste their time on. It's all a waste of time. It's all just childish garbage most of the time. And all the stuff that you should know is kept from you because you're nothing. Because it's as if you're not allowed to know the truth, which is utterly ridiculous.
Well, God's not going to reveal that to you.
Say again?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yes. It's it seems to be what I would call people just simply just want to impress people and themselves.
Yeah. They want people to pat them on the back, and they want some grandeur, which will get them nowhere.
Yeah. So I well, they're just copying these so-called people who write all the books, and so they come up with their own. They digest the book, sort of read it, and they say, okay, let me put my spin on it, so to speak. But in reality, simply, is these people who are doing this don't know any more than the people who are basically coming along and repeating what they say and put a little bit of spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Phil?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, yeah. And very few of them understand, a great deal. There's a thing, you see, there's a thing with people. If you tell people the truth and give them all the answers, they think you're lying, and they don't like it anyway. They don't like being given answers. They like more mystery. People like mystery. They like things to be unknown because it's more interesting. It engages them more because they want to find out for themselves, which is fair enough. But if they're asking direct questions and they get direct answers, it doesn't go down very well. I find.
Is it
See, all my books. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on. That's right.
It's all to do with the ego, isn't it? Trying to impress people.
Well, if you give people answers to, they don't like it for some reason. They don't like being given the answers. Maybe because they haven't found it for themselves by themselves. When it comes to spirituality, when you give people answers, it can be a bit of a shock as well. It's very difficult to relate to. It's very difficult to relate to spiritual matters when you're in a physical existence. It's the complete opposite. So how can you relate to it? Well, you need an expert to explain it to you in a way that you can sort of understand and grasp. So that's what I try to do. But I get the impression, judging by Enuma Elish, I did a video explaining Tablet 1 in very great detail, and after what 2 months maybe, I've got about 500 views on that video, and yet another video that pretends to understand the Enuma Elish and is absolute garbage has over 1 million views because it seems sensational and the presentation is sensational. So it's partly about presentation, but then you wonder what kind of people are watching that sort of thing. They can't be very intelligent. Do you see
Well,
what I mean?
also, you just wonder if the numbers are not even being correct. In other words, that they're saying, say 500,000's already watched it or whatever, but how do you know that's 500,000? What if it's being, quote unquote, kept away from people, so to speak? I don't know if that
Yeah,
makes any sense.
yeah. You can
So,
buy you can buy views on YouTube and pretend that your video is popular. You can do that.
you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, no, you can. You've been able to do that for years. People have done that for years now.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'll notice a video has gone up in one day and it's already got over 1 million views. Yeah, that's not possible. It's impossible. So they've bought them to
Wow.
make it seem impressive and that everyone's interested in their stupid video. But then people are so easily suggested to. They're so easily fooled by these things, and they think it must be important because it's got over 1 million views. This sort of thing,
Right. Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
The world is.
Yeah, numbers impress. I make more money than you do, and so you're a 3-year-old kid or something. I mean, you're not a 3-year-old. You're a senior
It's
3-year-old.
nonsense. Yeah,
Right.
it's nonsense. I mean, real stuff is obviously reserved for university departments. In public, it's all about showing off.
Right.
It's a completely different kettle of fish. It turns out. Anyway.
So let's change the perspective here. I've got some questions for you. Um, the idea of the tarot cards with the Kabbalah uh, with scripture, as I started earlier. How does this work out? And what I'm trying to say simply is, I know that we've already talked about just a minute ago. There are what we call 22 of these particular important cards reveal something about our characteristics of who we are. And then we also have in Kabbalah, we have what we call 22 paths in here. And then we have also the book of Revelation. And so, again, how does this work out? In other words, why has it worked out in a way that, let's just say God has allowed this to be played out, meaning simply is the tarot cards, the Bible, and even Kabbalah. Most people in America have more than one Bible. They have 2 or 3 different Bibles in different versions. King James Version, American Standard, New American Standard, all that, such and such. And yet they don't know anything about it. They're dependent upon their pastors or preachers.
Who are supposed to know.
Supposed to know, but in reality, basically, if I understand it, you must know. You've got to be the person who actually has to be the one with the knowledge. In other words, you have to pursue it all, get out. In other words, meaning you must put yourself in that situation and say, if they can't tell me the truth, then I've got to pursue it. You follow what I'm saying? I have to steer my ship. I have to go looking for truth. I'm looking for truth, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the whole idea simply is you cannot be dependent. What we're saying right now, what you're sharing, all this, we cannot depend upon other people to quote unquote tell us the truth, because they are opportunists. They are ones who make money off of it, or their ego fluffs up such and such. I've got so many views, such and such.
Yeah.
But in reality, simply is it's all fluff. It's all bullshit.
That's right.
It is.
Right. There are very simple explanations for these things. Very simple, very straightforward, very easy to understand, and very obvious in the end.
So I'm going to start out with the cards here, and I want you to kind of describe what we noticed. The color yellow is here, and we'll go whatever, we'll do more of these if we don't get through today, we'll do another one, you know, such and such, because there's a lot here if someone wants to pursue it. And so you have what they call a number here at the very top, also a 0. And he's the Joker, not the Joker, but he's basically he's not what I would call this lolly and has no idea where he's walking at, and he's about to walk off the cliff. You see?
Yeah, there are two opposite issues at once with that one card. That card is unique. It's unique, but we need to know where the cards come from for a start.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you look at the Tree of Life and its 10 points, as we've mentioned before in previous videos, the 10 points come from pure logic. And it's the pure logic of the relationship between one thing only and duality. Duality is physical, one thing only is spiritual. That is the relationship in reality. That's what's going on. There's a relationship between those two things, and they are exact opposites. Because of that, you first of all delineate them independently at the top of the tree with the first 3 points. And then you show them together as the next 3 points all joined together in a relationship. And then finally you show that again at the bottom of the tree, but there's a new point between the 3 points. That is a new starting point. Now this is an archetype that we can apply to all sorts of things. For instance, we can apply it to the growth of plants from seed to new seed.
Correct.
So the point at the top is a seed. The 2 points below it is the ground you plant the seed in. The 3 points below that is a tree that grows from that relationship. And of course, the tree remakes the original seed again. So there's a complete cycle.
Right.
That is what the Tree of Life is about. It's about the cycle of existence. If you apply it to us, as a seed, we are a spirit which has 0 dimension. And we end up, by taking on a physical body, becoming 0-dimensional once again. So there's the same cycle all over again, from 0 back to 0 again. Okay, now in your life, if you make your life is available to you to achieve that, to achieve spirituality from your physicality. It's the physicality that allows you to do that. All right, so if we apply if we think of the Tree of Life now, and we look at how many connecting lines there are between those 10 points, it turns out there's 22. So if we're going to talk about a cycle, an archetype, and apply it to the human being, we can say, well, a human being goes from ignorance at birth to enlightenment in middle to old age. It takes time to appreciate that, to get there. So the very first card we can apply to you as a newborn baby. See, when you're born, you are a fool. You know nothing, and people can take advantage of you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Right? Right. So when you start a new job, it's the same thing is applicable. You are a fool. Once again, you don't know anything about the job yet. You haven't even done it. You're there in the first morning. You've just turned up. Now you're going to be trained in how to do your job, which is the same principle as the tarot cards of the major arcana, the 22 cards. Each of those 22 cards represents one of those paths on the Tree of Life. So we're talking about a cycle of process, and the process is to accumulate understanding when you apply it to a human being. So if we think of you as a newborn baby and associate that with the Fool card that you've shown there, the 0, this is where you start in life. You're born to your mother, and you are born into a human body. So the card after 0 is the card number 1, which is the magician. Right, but you're not a magician yet. So what you've got there are 4 elements on a table, a square table. The square table effectively now, when in this application, represents your body that has these 4 centers to it: your head, your heart, your navel, and your groin. Those are represented as 4 elements, and they're shown symbolically on the table. See, the sword represents air, which associates with your head. You swish a sword through the air, and you can cut through things like truth cuts through lies. So it's a symbolic way of referring to your head. In your head you have an intellect, and you can sort out problems with your intellect. See, like cutting through stuff with the sword. hacking through a jungle. It's all messy, and you make a neat path for yourself.
Right.
The cup obviously holds water or liquid,
Correct.
see, and it associates with your heart. That's the Grail there. Effectively, that's the Holy Grail. But that's the that's the highest form of your heart center, the Grail. When you're born, you are at 0 and you haven't made the Grail yet. Even though it's shown there, you see, what you've got in every card is every potential that that particular card relates to. So when we go through the 22 cards and come back to the Fool, the Fool is now the master. But he doesn't cling on to anything, so he's just walking along with his bare necessities in a little bag with a stick.
Right.
See? Next is the Magician. So if you've gone through the 22 cards already and you've ascended, you are now a magician. You now have these 4 centers at your disposal, and you know exactly what they're all about, and you are the master of them all. The infinity symbol above his head means he's an angel. The white and red clothing he wears means he's been anointed by God as an angel, because white and red are the colors of the anointing. White literally, red symbolically, because it's a slain lamb. So we're talking about Jesus Christ again here now. That has everything to do with an angel. That is, you're looking at an angel, basically, a representation of an angel. Once you've gone round the 22 cards already in a circuit, now you go back through them, you're an angel, and they mean something. The application is slightly different, but they're archetypal, so they're always applicable no matter what situation you're in. Notice there is only before becoming an angel and after becoming an angel. There is nothing else. So you only have to think about 2 loops around those 22.
Right.
That's all you need to consider when you apply it to a human being. If we go back to the beginning again and think of the 0 as you as a newborn baby, the next card being the Magician refers to your human body and its 4 centers. The card afterwards, number 2, is the High Priestess. But in these terms, if you're a baby, that is your mother. This now represents your mother. The card after that is the Empress. And the Empress, in these terms, represents your grandmother. That's your grandmother. Normally in life, your mother and grandmother are present because of age. Normally we have kids after we're between 20 and 30 years old, so there's a couple of generations hanging around. So this is your grandmother when you're a baby. And the one after is the Emperor. Of course, that's your father.
Right.
There's your dad. Yeah, no, this is your dad. It's going through your family right now and your circumstances in life as a newborn baby. See, it's an archetype. We can apply it in all sorts of different ways. So now this is your dad. He's the emperor in your life. He's the ruler of your life, your father.
Right.
See? Okay, and the Hierophant, the one after,
Right.
is your grandfather. See, so we've had your mum, your grandmother, and now we've had your dad and your grandfather. So we've got basically your whole family now, apart from siblings.
Especially your immediate family.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. So
plus-
that even though that's the Pope, the principle it applied to you as a newborn baby is it's your grandfather, the one who knows more than even your father.
Because he's gone around a lot longer. You know, he's 50, 75, whatever it is. He knows a lot more about life than even his son does, and obviously more than his grandson.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So you see now, now as an angel, if we think of these cards, all these cards apply to you at once, and they represent different aspects of your being as an angel. So you are the Emperor and the Hierophant and the High Priestess and the Empress. You are all these things as an angel. There is nothing missing from you. See?
So what does Hierophant mean?
Hierophant, hang on, let's look it up. The actual meaning of the word. Give me 2 seconds.
Sure. There's one, there's two. I got to pick on
A,
you.
a person, especially a priest, who interprets sacred mysteries or esoteric principles. So
Ah,
in its true nature, it represents an angel because it's showing the Pope, and the Pope is basically John the Baptist, who is a representation of an angel.
interesting colors too, isn't it? It's
Yeah, yellow is the intellect.
yes,
Yeah, yeah. Blue, actually, blue is physical nature. In fact, it's physical. It's associated with what is physical, not emotional. Even though water and emotion go together,
right,
you can use different things for different ideas. So yellow, his head look is golden like the sun.
correct.
See, he has risen. That's like the
And,
sunrise, and
and
he's
it's
wearing
also
white.
based upon it's on his head, which means where wisdom is. Also,
Yeah, yeah. The Pope's mitre has three layers, three levels, and a point at the top. The three
right,
levels represent the three aspects of spirit that he has become in
right,
fullness. So he's basically God incarnate in a sense. He's an angel,
yes, yes,
and he's wearing white and red because that's the anointing again.
correct. And do you want to go?
Notice the white lines on his front is
There
like
we
a
go.
Y shape.
Yeah,
You
they're
see the
all.
Y shape?
It's like a Y shape, right?
Yeah, it's like a Y. It's like this.
Okay.
Yeah, this symbol is an ancient symbol for personal spiritual joy.
Okay, like hallelujah, you know.
Yeah. Hallelujah. I'm holding lamb's blood. If you look at the Egyptian representation of the head of an angel, you'll see an ankh on top of a jed pillar, and the
Right.
ankh has two arms raised and holding a ball, a red ball,
Yes, yes.
full of lamb's blood. Yeah,
Lamb's,
that's that principle of spiritual joy. It's not just joy because I've bought a new puppy for my girlfriend. It's joy because I've encountered God and I've become an angel. That's specifically what that refers to.
yes, you found your true self.
Mm, that's
Your
right.
true
You've
self.
understood reality.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
that's right. You become an adept. You become adept. You become a master,
correct,
an ascended master, so to speak.
right.
Yeah, that's right.
So we can continue with the cards, or we can whatever you want to do. Next card is like number 6.
The lovers. Right. So I
Yes.
mean, let's think about your your nature as a human being before you're an angel. Excuse me.
Sure.
The next thing that happens in your life is you grow up a little bit, and you meet the opposite sex, or you meet other people. Yeah. So we can simply apply the lovers to your first personal relationship. Say,
Correct.
see.
Right.
Yeah, and the next card, of course, is the chariot. And once you meet somebody in life, you're going to go off with them away from your family
Correct. You're going
and
to.
and leave the family yoke. So it's a chariot.
Yes. Yes. Because you're now on your own, so to speak. You see.
You're off. You're off. You're a young adult now. Yep, and you're moving into the next phase of life where you have a relationship. You're taking control of your own life as a new young adult. Yep, there's a
So
lot
you're
more in
actually
there.
you're separated from your immediate family, so you move on.
You grow up a bit, yeah, yeah. You become your own leader. You don't need your parents anymore, so to
Right.
speak. Yeah, that's right.
The, almost as though the word parent sometimes has, you think about parrot like a talking bird, but also you think about a parent is almost with the word rent in it, almost R-E-N-T in the word. It's almost as though you've spent your time with your parents as being like a rent, and now you go on your
Mm,
own.
mm,
You now take the ball and pick up the ball. You are responsible for the house. You're responsible for your wife. You're responsible for the children, so to speak. So
yeah,
now you become a daddy. Now you need to have wisdom in those situations, because guess what? You have a child in your life now. It's not just
yeah,
not only your lover, your wife, but also you take the responsibility. Now I have a young one who is
Mm,
like me long ago.
mm,
It's a sense of responsibility, you see.
mm, mm. Funnily enough, in psychology, they go on about the key moments in your life that are transformational, like
Right?
your first day of school, you know, the day you leave your parents' house and move out, the first day of work, when you get married, middle age. Some people call it midlife crisis.
Yes.
And then yeah, and
Yes.
then you move into older age when you have to take on different ideas that were never there before, and so on and so forth. There's all these key moments. Those moments are
Correct.
delineated. Yeah, those moments are hidden in these cards. It's ancient psychology, this.
Oh, that's interesting. Didn't think about it that way. It's
Yeah,
ancient
so look,
psychology.
the chariot is you moving out of your parents' yoke. See, the
Yes.
lovers is you and your first experience with relationship, direct relationship, personal relationship. Yeah, so they delineate different aspects.
In other words, when this happens when you get in your chariot, so to speak, you're no longer dependent on mom and dad.
Yeah,
You are actually yourself, but it's also simply as you hopefully have the knowledge and the wisdom to be able to carry on as your parents did with you.
mm,
Meaning simply is that now you're, which I've said before, but you're also the master, you see, of the household, so to speak. You
mm,
see,
yeah, yeah. These are normal things.
right,
Notice. Yeah.
right.
So normal life development is part and parcel of this movement towards spiritual ascension. There's nothing
Yes,
special about it as such.
yes. Um, we can keep going through the cards, so we can continue to. Uh,
Can do. Yeah.
so here it is. Like, what about the characters? That is their names, and they're being some being feminine and others being masculine. Like we just went through here with a woman here. I guess it's a woman, I assume. You know, she's a female, but you also see other particular people like this person here. He's man. He's a male. Is there anything going on with that just because it's being feminine and masculine in these cards?
There's the feminine and masculine principles within each person. Um, they have to show. I mean, they're not going to show you an androgynous being on the magician. They
Okay.
could
Okay.
do. They
Okay.
they could do, but it would only be applicable after you become an angel. So it wouldn't necessarily apply if you're talking about a newborn baby. And of course, there's a view behind these cards that sees you in spiritual terms as male.
Right. Right.
Female is receptacle, so it's the body you acquire that
Right.
associates with being female. But to highlight male in these terms is to say that you are a spirit now come into a body as a newborn baby, and as an archetype, the cards must cover all these principles at once and not be confusing.
Correct.
So they're going to show you as male because in these terms you've just come into a body as a spirit, and spirit impregnates matter.
Matter. Right.
Therefore, spirit is associated with being male only. It's only an association
Right.
to be able to relate to it, so you can think about it quickly.
It's I've noticed here simply is with the two characters down here. That is the lines. Their colors are black and white here. If you can see that, is
Mm.
that one is black and one is white. Uh, would that mean simply is that someone has recognized the differential within their own personality, that they have darkness within them, but they also have light within them also?
That's certainly one application, without a doubt. There are quite a few, in fact. So what you see there are associative with what's called Akka lions. If you look at ancient Egyptian depictions of lions, they often show two lions together back to back, facing in opposite directions. So one of them represents the past, and one of them represents the future.
Future.
And here you are in between those 2 points, at the point where you're actually dealing with things in the moment.
Yes, and you are actually the master of your situation.
Hmm.
Meaning you're gonna pick up the ball and run with it. Which way are you gonna go with it, type of thing.
Yeah, likewise, your salvation is in your own hands.
Right. It is your responsibility.
Yeah, that's right. It's available to you. So the question is, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that?
Right.
You see, because there's nothing stopping you. You see,
No, there isn't. There isn't anything stopping people at all except yourself. You
that's
choose
right.
to. You choose
The
to.
only
Which is free will. Also, that's part of free will. You have the
right.
opportunity to say yes or no. Yes.
However, in the world today, a lot of information is not promoted on purpose because it doesn't suit commercialism.
Right.
This does not suit commercialism. Therefore, it's not promoted because there's no money in it unless you want to sell tarot cards to people. You know?
Yeah. 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 Everything. That's critical for you to understand that we live in the West. But the East have taken on the same type of mentality. It's about marketing. It's about making money. Nothing
Yeah.
else. There is with anything when someone's trying to sell you something, it should be a red flag because simply as they're trying to sell you something, there isn't any truth in that. You see.
Because this material is not promoted in the mainstream commercial world, it's ignored overall, on top of which it's made fun of.
Yes.
It's often made fun of in very shallow terms, partly to prevent you from becoming the
Yeah.
true nature of what you really are. You know, you're fulfilling your own nature. Because there are influences in the world that don't want you to become your true nature because they're nasty.
Right.
These are sociopaths, psychopaths, mentally deranged people who've gone through trauma and have not healed.
Right.
These kind of people cause nothing but problems for others through envy, jealousy, and greed. This is another problem. So if these people are in charge of commercialism, let's say, they're certainly not going to commercialize and promote this sort of thing, because this sort of thing actually helps you. It helps you understand things. It's not about commercial bubblegum that has no nutrition. This is nourishing information,
Right.
as it were. Food for the soul.
Well, nourishment in itself is like you think about it. With even a family, simply is that your mother is one who provides nourishment to the newborn child.
Mm.
And without that, um, there is no growth.
Mm. Yeah.
See, that's part of the whole thing. That's also the connection with the baby with its mother. You see, um, there's that cord. You know, the umbilical cord, so to speak. That's still the cord, even though the cord has gone away. The cord is still there in life also. How your mother represents certain things to you, is, if you understand what I'm saying, as a child. So anyway, so we have
Just to
colors
say,
here. Go ahead. Sorry.
just to say,
Sorry.
all the things in these cards are a study in themselves.
Yes, each card has really deep information. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. So the idea is you study the information that are in these cards. And by doing so, you gain understanding of the reality that you're in.
Yeah, I just noticed this card here, which is the next one up, and she has an infinity sign on the top of her head. I never noticed that until I thought it's a crown, and I realized, well, it is a crown in a way, but yes, she's contained a beast within herself. Is that what it means, somewhat?
Effectively, yeah, it's about overcoming, becoming the controller of your physical nature as a spiritual entity. Yeah.
Right.
So in middle age, let's say, it's starting to look at middle age, this, if we apply it to a human life.
Right.
You can also see, because it's card number 8, we've had 7 before it, and 7 is the classic cycle, which goes back to the origin, and back to the origin, we're associating the creator and the redeemer with a lion. And courage it takes courage to face truth and one's own demons and one's physical nature.
Yeah, I was going to say, not, I don't think it's right, but I was just saying she's being able to tame her own self somewhat.
Yeah,
She's
that's right.
she's actually got hands with on the tiger here, the lion, in a way that
Yeah.
basically she has control of that. She's no longer out of control.
And it's a
Like,
woman. It's a woman,
it's a
not a
woman,
man.
a
Yeah,
man.
because it's saying, look, physical nature is being tamed here.
Ah, right,
See, so
correct. 'Cause
it
she represents matter. The
yeah.
woman does.
Yeah,
Yeah,
your body basically, your physical nature. Yeah, if you can control that, that's what's being shown to you.
right,
Yeah, yeah,
right. 'Cause see, if it had been a man doing that, it would be to deal with the spiritual nature, correct?
pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. That's
Possible.
right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. So if you go back a few cards, you can see what you just said in the cards where we have the High Priestess followed by the Empress, which are both female. So
Right,
your initial development is going to be physically based, followed
right,
by the Emperor and the Hierophant, which are more spiritual. So as you get older, you start thinking about more spiritual things necessarily.
correct.
You're no longer a little baby who can't think for itself.
But you also see what I call somewhat what we call a throne or a special chair in both these perspectives here, as
Mm.
though they have been awarded the position that they're at because they have done the work.
That's one way of looking at it. You can only when you think about an angel, when you apply it to an angel, can you see it like that.
Okay.
Really, they're just in their proper positions. So that's your dad, let's say. If that's your dad, he's the ruler of the house in
Right.
normal terms.
Correct.
So he is
Correct.
the emperor in your family.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And of course, the grandfather is the one who gives you wise advice because he's gone beyond being a dad himself and he knows all about it. He knows even more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
See, so we can go in and go deeper and deeper into each of the cards and how they sit together in their order. They make sense in their order.
Right.
And they make sense how you want to apply them. So they've been devised to be archetypes so that they are applicable to this and that.
It's amazing when you think about that deeply.
Very clever, very ancient,
Yeah.
very old. This is.
And these cards are not. I've done something, looked in it historically. That is, these are like this is early 1900s. Okay, and it was a Jamaican girl who did all the artwork, as well as I recollect, and it was to do with a guy named I think it's Waite, Waite, which was I think connected with Madame Blavatsky, or close, somewhat close.
Theosophists.
Go ahead.
The Theosophists.
Right, the Theosophists, yes.
Yeah.
And what was my point? I just lost it. Oh, they were cards even before this.
Yes.
They were cards before this. They were
Oh
not.
yeah. This goes back thousands of years.
They
These
were,
principles.
so
Yeah.
people don't understand. They think this is a new thing, and roughly, basically, it's the early 1900s. No, there were cards done even way back before this. Way back.
Yeah. All the principles were known back in Babylon as well. There's nothing new. Absolutely. I mean, they revered the tree of life in Babylon already because they became angels, and angels will talk about the tree of life and everything to do with it automatically because it
Right.
is basically pure logic and the logic applicable to reality. That's why.
But it's also truth, and it's true life. It's freedom. Suddenly,
That's
there's
right.
no longer any bondage. You actually are thrown off the chains within your own self, and those with what I would call outside yourself, so to speak, that you don't realize. But in reality, there's bondage between. We all have to go to work, such and such, and yes, you're paid money, such and such, but there is a bondage, so to speak. But this it does gives a hope for mankind simply is that I'm no longer contained by someone or power within, and I'm no longer in bondage with myself too, because I've actually conquered myself in a way that I'm not in bondage to things like doing harm to other people. I'm free. I'm truly free. I don't act out what I think. That's what I'm trying to think of. A personality we put on a show, so to speak. So we're acting a lot of times. We're not even in the moment, so to speak. And so we act out certain things within ourselves as though we're supposed to be good little boys or good little girls, such and such. But that's a facade. That's just a fake type of thing. And this is a way I would think simply is that allows you to be free because you're free from all that. You don't have to pretend to be somebody else you're not, or you think you are, so to speak. So I'm going to continue on. I'm not trying to hurry. I'm just this particular card here, the Hermit, that reveals to me that the spiritual walk is hermit. You're a hermit type of person. You're going to be alone.
You've also got the direct association with the number 9 there. The number 9 is the highest number.
That's right.
There are only 10 numbers, and 9 is the highest. It's the most accumulated number there is, 9. Therefore, it relates to high spirituality. So there, if we apply it to a human being again...
He's got a lantern. Pardon me?
Yeah, if we apply it to a human being again, the human being has met their partner, they've become married, they've left home, they've got the partner, they've become married, and after a little while, they settle into that, and after a while you start thinking about higher things because all of these normal human things have been taken care of supposedly.
Right.
So now you're free to think of higher things, higher wisdom.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the lantern's revealing simply he's walking and he's looking for truth. Is that part of it also?
No, he's not looking for truth. He's found it.
Found it.
Yeah, it's a way of saying here is the truth in this light in this lantern. I'm following that now. You see, it's old science, and science is objectively true. It's not about opinion or whether you agree with it or not. It's true, whether you damn well like it or not. The sun will rise tomorrow morning, whether you like it or not. It has nothing to do with your opinion. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't like the sun.
It's going to happen.
So you don't like the sunrise. I don't care. The sun's going to rise. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't care what you think. It'll rise anyway. Yeah, realize that.
Well, the problem is if we don't have the sun, there's not going to be any life on this planet anyway.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, and people have forgotten that. They don't understand it simply is that photosynthesis and all that deals with the trees and everything around us and grass and animals. Everything's dependent upon the sun, period.
Yep.
Light. Yep. People say, well, we get heat. Yeah, but it's also, you have to have light is the key of all of it because simply light it provides energy for all living things.
Yeah, right. That's right.
They don't teach that anymore, I don't think, in school.
Not necessarily, no. It's changing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. You can't walk up to any children today, or I should say, high school student. They can't comprehend things. But that's another story.
They're getting bogged down with garbage like trans issues, as if you have to discuss such a thing in school, in class. I mean, this is nonsense. That takes 5 minutes of conversation, and then we can move on and learn something useful instead of that garbage. It's just not useful, you know? There's a lot of useless information flying around these days.
It's a lot of fluff.
A lot of fluff, yeah. Pointless fluff. That's right.
Nothing any substantial has any substantial thinking at all. It's all fluff.
Yeah. The cat's just turned up. I'll just let him in. Give me 2 seconds. Right, he's in. I think he's going to look for some food, so you might have to give me like about 15 seconds break to feed him quickly.
Sure.
Okay, I'll be 2 seconds. Yeah, I better do it now, otherwise he'll be all over the place. Hang on. Yeah, sorry about that. Just takes a moment to feed him.
That's
He's
okay.
done. Yep.
Yeah, I was just gonna, hold on just a second. I'm doing something here. Supposed to be simulcasting here, and I don't know why it's doing this. The new company, I'm on YouTube, and then I'm also supposed to be simulcasting on um, Facebook. People can, watch it while, and it will not. It's got only me. It will not even allow me to open up, so I can allow it to see other people can see that live also there if they're not. So I'm just kind of jostling through here. I think so. Does she like certain? She says he. I guess it is too, probably, right?
Mm.
Is that a he or
Yeah.
she? Cat.
It's a he. It's a him. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
still there?
Yes, he's on my left.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Don't walk there. Come on.
So there she is. There he is. Whatever. So what is the name?
We don't know. We don't know. It lives a few doors
Okay,
away, and
just
it,
call
it
it
just
Hamlet.
lives with us. It comes from there, but we don't. It hasn't got a collar or anything. But
Oh, okay.
he adopted us, basically. He likes
Oh,
being
because
here.
it's nice and peaceful there, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's warm and cozy, and we feed him, and there's nothing to worry about. And he chases mice. Yeah,
Oh, he chases mice? You don't have mice in England, do you?
we do. We got. There's another mouse outside. I'm afraid it's dead. Yeah, it's the 8th or
Oh,
9th one he's caught.
wow.
Yeah, he's a
So
mouse
he's worth
catcher.
he's worth his food then, isn't he?
He loves it. He loves chasing mice. Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's get back to the show here.
Yeah.
This one here represents what's your Wheel of Fortune.
Ah.
So, and it has
Yeah.
what I would call certain letters here, which I do not recognize. I mean, it looks like they're Greek letters, but I could be wrong. Um, and then there's the directions on here, so to speak, and you also have the snake, and I guess you have Satan here. Is that correct? Or the devil?
So you have the four creatures. The ones in Revelation around the throne of God. You have the lion, the ox, the man, and the eagle.
Eagle, right?
Yeah. So you basically got the same thing here. So I mean I've got a.
Yeah, I see that now. I'm sorry, I do see that. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and what you see in the image inside the circle is a kind of sigil. It's a magical sigil that has all sorts of meanings that we haven't got time to go into at the moment, really.
Okay.
Yeah, that's effectively the devil. On the wheel is sitting on the devil. There's a snake there. These are all symbols of physical reality, effectively. And you have the what looks like a sphinx at the top holding a sword. Yeah.
Yes.
So you can see around the actual circle
In
there is a
fact, if you
sphinx.
had told me that, I would have never recognized it. In fact, I've never seen it until you just said that.
Ah,
It's
so
it's entitled with the colors there. It's almost impossible to see until you just said that.
mm,
I've not seen that at all until you said that. The Sphinx there, and with him, he's got a sword, and I'm like, where is it? And then it suddenly showed up. I said, there he is. I'm like, wow, I never saw that
mm.
at the very
No,
top.
notice there are three. There are three with a sphinx, a snake, and a devil around the circle, and then there are four creatures. That makes 7 identities in total in the card.
So that
Notice
was the
all.
other thing I thought was I thought to myself, yeah, so it's 2, like you got 4, and you got 1, 2 on here. I said 6, and I'm thinking, okay, I just thought it didn't register, but basically there are 7 because you have the like on here. So
Notice also that the number 10 is the number of points on the tree of life.
correct, right.
See, and the tree of life, if you count down, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you count back up again, you get 5, 6, 7. So the 10 points in the Tree of Life represent a cycle that can have 7 stages.
Oh. So there's two
Yeah.
different numbers going on here. So you have 10, and you have also 7.
Inside the circle itself, just inside the outer rim of the circle, you can see Yod He Vav He, which is the name of the cloud, which represents the 4
Right.
elements as the 5th
Right.
element. So the Fortune's Wheel, I've got a little description here. It deals with the dealing out of fate, good or bad, depending on how we look at it. So it's effectively looking at the principle of how life deals you different situations.
Yeah.
Losing a job may be a blessing in disguise. You know, it depends on how you look at things. Gaining a fortune may be the greatest burden we have faced. If you win the national lottery, everyone will think you're the happiest person around, but it might actually destroy your life,
Yeah.
you know? So looking for a silver lining or the truth behind a situation is in the eye of the beholder, and how clearly they can see through the duality haze of good and evil of the world. That's why you have the Sphinx and the devil there. That's the good and evil, in a way, in the world. And the snake, of course, is just the process through life.
Right.
It's applicable in many different ways, the snake, to be honest. It can represent the whole of reality in itself, like the Ouroboros, you know, that sort of old symbol. Yeah, so there's an identification in this card, number 10, of, you know, the good and evil in life, and different kinds of fates you can be dealt with and how you deal with them.
Reality simply is, when we look at evil taking place, it also helps us to understand simply is that, you know, people tend to lean that way in our society. I may think that way, but it tends to get you off of a tangent also. You know, you can see people who say there's so much evil in the world. Well, there is, but the point is there's always been evil. It's just basically now more in your face than it once was.
Yeah, it's inherently in human beings, it's evil. In fact, it's in all creatures in the universe. We can easily apply to extraterrestrials as well, because not
Right.
all of them are very nice either. Some of them are worse than humans. You know?
Wow.
Anyway, that's a different subject.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Now, how does it? Now we're looking at this here. How does that also work with these cards? I mean, that's and also Revelations, the Bible. I mean, you don't have to go, and you share however way you want to share it, but you know, also the Book of Revelations. Also, you know, there are 22 chapters in the Bible here in Revelations. Now, how does it connect there? How you know? You probably explained it to me before. I'm sure you have, but for the audience again, for maybe the 50th time, to tell me what, because we went through the Book of Revelations. That's probably a year ago, maybe longer ago, and we know that people take the Bible, the book here, and they take this literal. I mean, there are people around me who are completely mesmerized by Revelation, as though we're going to meet God. God's going to come here, and he's going to set things right, such and such. You hear that a lot, and everybody's going to see him in the coming of the year. And we talked about that long ago, which makes no sense because, like, you know, he'll be seen by all. It's like, no, there's, you know, half the world will be in darkness and half the world will be in day and night. But then how in the world will you be able to see God when he's only here in a certain speck here in the sky, but he's not, you couldn't see him 10 miles away. It doesn't make any sense. In other words, it's not very logical, you see the thinking. But it's also filled with a lot of fear. And that's what also is about. People are being promoted fear.
Yeah, they misinterpret Revelation as an objective prediction when it has nothing to do with that. It's talking about your personal route to your personal ascension, spiritual ascension. That's why it uses these tarot cards. That's what they represent.
This is how people get, yeah. sorry, go ahead. You were going to say
No,
something.
go. No, go.
This is how people are taken off on a tangent, and they're, you know, I live in the Bible Belt. Okay, that's a fact in the South, and so people here are still holding on to the Bible in a literal interpretation of Revelation, expecting, you know, God to come back or such and such through what they call 7 years. You know, that's that number 7 again. They misunderstand that. They think it's, you know, the 7 years, and they also are expecting, you know, they have the tribulation, and you're going to be the word rapture, which is to do with your ascension. It has nothing to do with your rapture, so to speak. It's ascension within your own self, so to speak. This is how people are so engulfed into literalization of the scriptures,
Yeah,
and how they're easily led astray.
yeah, yeah. To their downfall.
And I
To their
grew up.
downfall.
Pardon me?
To their downfall.
Yes.
Literally. Quite
Yes.
literally. Yeah. Yeah. Fake promises. It's false promise. That. It's not false promise to say there is spiritual ascension, but it is false to misinterpret.
Right.
Period. That is false. Yeah. And millions are fooled.
Yeah, I know that I run into people in, you know, conversation, and the next thing you know, people saying, "Well, it won't be long. God's going to come back, or Jesus is going to come back," and I'm just like, I'm just like,
Yeah, he's already here.
yeah,
He's already here and you're missing it. That's what's going on. You're missing it.
you're waiting for some event to take place when God is already here. He's
Yeah.
been here every day one.
People expect to be told. That's a problem.
They're being told by people who know nothing, just like everything on what we just shared earlier in Facebook. The same thing. They're easily led astray.
Yeah. They're Christians, so they're bound to be informed when this happens, aren't they? Because they're Christian, therefore they're important, and they will be informed. Of course not.
No, no.
This is just
Mostly.
childish nonsense. It's
Yeah.
nonsense.
But I grew up in that, Phil. I grew up in all that stuff. Heavily
Yeah.
influenced by that.
Yeah, it's a way to make you nice, what's it? The opposite of a troublemaker. How do you stop people from being troublemakers? Well, you feed them a lot of old shit, and you scare the living crap out of them. That's how you do it. That's what's going on. That's all. Yeah, but then they have low IQs, so they can't work it out, which is bizarre. And when you do work it out, you're an outcast.
I don't even think it's low IQs. They just accept this to be truth. They just follow. They just simply follow it. I mean, it's like, man, if they can be smart and do certain things with intelligent people, do things with their hands, or not manufacture, but they can do physics, stuff of that nature, and yet it's like there's nothing there. They believe that. It's a belief system.
It's ingrained.
It's ingrained. It's taught to them as a very young child, like it was with me.
That's right. You repeat something over and over again, people will believe it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Especially if it's from the authority, it must be true.
Well, because the church itself is authority. You know, that's what's going on, is that people see it as authority, and so they grasp to this type of thing. And yes, I grew up in all that. I used to have. I think I told you one time. I had on my car a sticker. It said, "This car will be unmanned when the rapture takes place." So that'll tell you how I was influenced by Scofield, C.I. Scofield, which I've done a video of him long ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, maybe longer, and how he taught the Bible differently than anyone else, and he started having quote unquote notes in the Bible. In other words, he'd have these notes telling you what he's talking about. There would be notes on the side here and telling you what they're all about. In other words. And there's another guy, a gentleman named Ryrie, Ryrie, I think it is, Ryrie or something of that nature. Anyway, I was indoctrinated in that stuff, not only in the Independent Baptist Fundamentalist Church, but also in another group of people, Grace Brethren Church, which is a German Baptist kind of deal, a small group of people They were practicing what we call foot washing and the Lord's Supper, so to speak. But the whole idea was all about doing what they call dispensations. They would say there are 7 different, here's another thing. They would use 7 here to say there are 7 different dispensations of what God acts like in the Bible. So they divided the Word of God in dispensations. This is where God was back in Genesis time, so to speak. And then it would have a certain place such and such. And then so they come up with conniving, it seems like there's some wisdom there, but there isn't any wisdom there. It's just there's their own theology, which is man's theology, thinking he understands, but he's never had the experience of meeting God. So how in the world would he know who God is?
That's right. That's
There's
exactly
no way.
right.
No way
Exactly right.
with no way in the world he'd know that. But that's and I have family involved in this, and they cling to this thing like it's like a rock. There's a company here called Prudential Insurance, and there are people. It's like in the middle of the sea, and it's like a rock. In other words, Prudential Insurance is like a rock, so it's always going to be stable. So it's not going to be movable or whatever. It's integrity. And in reality, simply that's what people are holding on to, what their pastors tell them. And then you have to realize one other thing I want to say is that those people who become pastors were also, it's not because they came from outside, they grew up in the same household as I would in the same way, and they think they have truth. And they are enormously self-righteous. Okay? And what I mean by that, I had roommates in where I lived at in Augusta, and I said some words that they didn't think was appropriate. And how dare you take the Lord's name in vain? That's So I would use a word, anger. Something happened to me, or I hit my hand with a hammer or whatever it was. So I would use this curse word, and they would come back and say, "How dare you say that type of thing?" And I'm like, I'm just being myself here. It hurt. Okay, that's what came out of my mouth. As though God is going to come down and strike me dead. That's what they believe, because they believe you say those type of things, God's going to come down here and going to blow you away. Which we talked about that too long ago too in the sharing. So, but anyway, I got off the tangent here. I don't mean to do that. I did that. Sorry.
That's right.
Sorry. So people talk about the 3 paths that are vertical, how they are they confused by the many. I'm trying to think about the 3 paths. Okay, I think what we're talking about today is like the 3 paths. That is through Revelation or Kabbalah or the tarot cards. I don't know if I wrote these down last night. But
They're all the same thing.
right.
The tarot cards are just the 22 paths applied to human psychology and angel nature.
So okay, we've probably said this, but I've got a question here. What does it mean to be a fool? Well, a fool is someone who doesn't, they waste their life and never pursue the truth. They never even try.
Ignorance, basically, yeah. In its various guises.
And I have, yes, I think you've sort of already answered some of these. What does it mean to be the magician? That would mean simply is that you've found the truth.
Yeah. Once you've gone round them, you become the magician. It's not just referring to your physical body with its 4 centers anymore, and your potential with the body to become an angel. Now you are an angel, and now it's showing you what you are as an angel. You're anointed, so you wear white and red. You're holding a scroll. The scroll is everything you've done to become an angel. It's a recording of your path to angel nature. And the infinity symbol above your head says you have become spiritualized, which is eternity. Spiritual nature is eternal.
But we are already, when we look at the spirit itself, we're already eternal itself. But then we've actually
That's right. We need
melded into what I would call the physical nature with the spiritual.
You need to fill your whole. You as spirit are infinite, and therefore there is no defined center to your being. See, so what you're doing with physical nature is finding definition to your own spiritual nature, which is the opposite aspect of the infinite expanse that you are. So it's an infinitely small point. So when you define this needle-sized point, you become you go through the gate, as it were, the inner gate. It's very, very narrow.
Right.
And that's the idea of absolutely defining what truth is, and truth is God. That's the definition. God is truth. Everything is God. Everything is truth. So when you define that, you're pinpointing what truth is. It's not just diffuse anymore. Like, you're not just an eternal being, you are now a well-defined eternal being, and you don't need to incarnate to define that center in your own infinity anymore. That's what incarnation is about. It's about defining the center to your infinity that has no center. So you become a master of reality. You understand the fullness of reality, and you become the fullness of reality. Yeah, that's embodied by the magician in that card.
And that would be simply, we see the symbol of the chalice. That chalice in some ways would be full, correct?
Mm.
'Cause
Yeah,
found-
mind you, it can be full or empty. It depends what you're using it for.
Well, that's what I mean, simply is that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't fill a full cup.
Yeah, I'm talking about a full cup representing you found yourself, the reality of who you are.
Yeah, your cup overflows, in fact,
Right.
as an angel. Yeah, that's right. It's never empty.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you look at it in a way of human terms, that simply that cup is empty because simply is the physical has no way. That's not a good word. If you abide, you tend to abide with what I call the teachings of man. It will keep that cup will stay. That cup will be empty.
Well, it'll fill the cup with the wrong liquid, let's say.
Okay. Okay.
So you need to empty that crap out, make it empty again, and actually fill it with something useful that you can drink. Yeah,
Okay.
there's the symbolism. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say something. I'm noticing these Kabbalah cards a lot to do with the color yellow, and I didn't know if those colors yellow the background. Like for example, these cards here.
Mm-hmm.
It's
it's intellect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's through the intellect you spiritualize from the heart. Yeah, the heart gives you direction like a rudder, but
Right.
the boat itself is like your mind.
And so
It's yellow in relation to the sun, because the sun is like an ego in the sky. It's an independent individual entity that does its own thing, like an ego, like your ego. And it's in the air. We see it in the air, and the air represents your head.
yeah,
You know, even though the sky and the air are blue.
Part of who you are is up here.
Yeah,
This is where you make decisions about life and death,
Yeah.
basic things, but also about if you groom yourself well enough, you can find yourself and find heaven within yourself.
Objectivity. It's where you determine objectivity. Yeah. Yeah.
So why 22? I mean, why is the number 22 presented in each? We talked a little bit about this, but why 22, the number 22? What does that represent? The number, what does it mean? Simply is that, the 22 chapters in the Revelation, the book of Revelation, I should say, why 22 cards, such and such, not 22, got off tangent here with it. Why that number 22? Does that have anything the number have anything, or what does it symbolize, or something of that nature?
It's literally just the number of connections between the 10 points in the Tree of Life. So if the Tree of Life represents reality, and there are 22 connecting lines, let's say, or paths between those 10 points, then you're going to highlight the 22. Yeah.
So there, like you're saying here, this is there are 22 lines here.
That's right. That's right.
And one was saying, I don't know if this is correct or not. They said that the blue was passive and the red was more active. I don't know if the colors, that's what someone came up with. I don't know if it's in this particular book. I'm just curious if that was, or just simply is that's just the way they just denominated what I call the colors to be a certain color. One is like naturally, one side is what I would call, is, you know, not relaxed. I'm trying to think of the words now. I just lost my mind. One is basically peace, and the other one is anxiety. It's not. That's not two words.
You're talking about spectrums, basically. We have to have two extremes on either end.
One is
the color spectrum is red and blue on either end.
right, but it's severity and mercy. That's what I'm trying to think of, the two pillars. Okay, so you know, there's God allows what I call there are bad things that happen in our lives in order to some way to skew us back to, and yet there's mercy in that, and to skew us back into the middle.
Not everything that happens is given to you by God. You know, there's devils everywhere, and they throw all kinds of crap at you. So you have to deal with that rubbish as well. It's just got nothing to do with God, and it doesn't necessarily teach you anything other than the fact that there are demons around.
Okay.
You see, it's not really it's not necessarily a great learning thing, that sort of thing. It's just irritations they are that get in the way.
So I'm gonna. So what did others know from the past that we do not understand about Kabbalah or the tarot cards in the Book of Revelation? In other words, we would call these mystery schools probably in the past. So in reality, they had wisdom that we have not. You know, knowledge is not wisdom, although knowledge can lead to wisdom. But if it's just the wrong kind of knowledge, it's not going to get you far at all anyway. You know, you can have a knowledge of how a tree grows, or not a tree, but just an example of how a computer works, whatever. But that's not going to provide you eternal life. That's not going. No, see, you have to have your majors being majors and not the major being a minor. In other words, if you pursue certain things in life, and you know certain things, and you think that's great, but the point simply it's only a small smidgen of what about life is all about.
Yeah,
you have to discern. I'm sorry.
Just to say, you're supposed to learn about physical nature and spiritual nature independently, and eventually you'll realize how they work together, and that will help you approach your ascension. Because ascension is when you unify them in your understanding, so you need to know what they are in the first place, both of them.
And then I realized later on. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Notice in today's world, you're asking about what's different today. In today's world, there's so much doubt sown on the idea of whether we are souls or spirits in a body, and whether everything's just physical and it's all for nothing. That nonsense is still going on. We've determined thousands of years ago what exactly is reality, and it's been destroyed for the sake of dumbing humanity down, which is despicable. It is utterly despicable and unnecessary. All you have to do is learn about physical nature and spiritual nature independently, and they will naturally bring you into a unification. But the spiritual nature isn't taught, so you're left bereft in the modern world of that nature that you don't understand, and so everyone's walking around ignorant, pretending that it doesn't matter, but it is much more important.
I also found out with the number 22 that there are 22 letters in the Hebrew language.
Yeah, they represent the path and the tree of life as well. It's the same thing. They represent the same principles as those tarot cards in the major arcana. Yeah.
So these people long ago knew what they were talking about.
Yes. Yes, they did. Yeah. It's not that we're going from ignorance to enlightenment in over history. We were enlightened as a planet in the past, and we've become ignorant. That's the problem. And because that's happened, it means it has been forced. Because there's nothing natural about that.
No, there isn't.
How can you go from it being enlightened all over the planet to not? Where's it gone? How can it disappear? Just because your grandmother dies, it doesn't mean your mother isn't going to become the grandmother to your child. She's going to gain that same wisdom, so it continues, and everything the grandmother knew, she passes on to the mother.
Right.
So there must have been some kind of disconnect at some point where it's forcibly removed from society on
True.
purpose to keep everyone stupid.
Keep people stupid.
Yeah, and in their stupidity, they don't know they're stupid.
Yes. In fact,
See?
they brag about how stupid they are.
That's how it's maintained. It's because people don't know that they're stupid.
Right.
Very simple. To manipulate a human being. Very simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't tell them anything about truth at all. Just keep them in, keep the circus going, as one would
Yeah,
say.
fill their life with useless drama. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So I'm going to say 22 letters into my other question after this. Can you explain why 22 letters for the audience? In other words, why did they choose 22? It may be basic to you, but I'm just thinking.
Yeah,
and also.
It's the same principle as the tree of life and the paths between those 10 points. So you're going to ascribe 22 major principles to those paths because that's where it's at. It's a real focus of attention. You can learn all about that if you just go over to the Hebrew alphabet and learn about it. There's endless stuff about it online if you want to find out about that. None of that is hidden. It's simply not promoted in the world as what it is. It's promoted as a language that has these secret meanings that only Kabbalists find out about, but everybody else just speaks the language and they don't bother with all that sort of thing because it doesn't really matter after all. You don't want to become enlightened. Oh no, you can't become enlightened because you're not clever enough. Never mind, moving on. This is what I get from the world. This bullshit, this nonsense. Promoting garbage for the sake of making money. That's why the planet is going to hell all the time.
Yeah.
It's never in a good condition because it's run by scumbags who just want to make money out of you, I'm afraid. That should all be rounded up and dealt with properly.
Yeah, it's people who basically don't give a damn.
That's right. Yeah,
just-
self-serving scum. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, demonic self-serving scum that actually perform rituals to kill people and hurt people. I'd love to get my hands on these people. I really would. They wouldn't exist anymore. If I got my hands on them, that's the end of it, I'm afraid. It stops with me, this garbage, I've already dealt with some of these assholes, excuse my French, I've dealt with them. It begins, as it were, it begins now. Anyway, that's part of my job, to deal with these scumbags, that I find everywhere.
I was going to say, I get so frustrated with life today. I'm like, why can it be like when I was a little child? It's like, because everything is done ridiculously, takes longer time to do certain things. Oh, it's going to be quicker, and everything is a lie because it takes longer. It's almost as though it's oxymoron. In other words, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like it's like us being ruled by someone who has no idea what the concept of being with time and everything of that nature is. Just a way of actually eating up your time. So on the internet, such and such, and you got, like, for example, is it really you? Of course it's me. You know it's me. You stupid things. I mean, golly, you have the server number, you have my ID. What else is it really you? It wastes your time. It eats up your time, your precious time in your life. That's what it's meant for.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like,
it makes money.
Let's use 20. Let's use 30 steps, and actually, we could actually do this within 2 steps. And no, we have to make it convoluted and harder to deal with. That's just
right.
the way things are. And this has all happened in my lifetime, especially in the last 25 to 30 years. It's just completely.
Yeah. It's
like,
become stupid.
What the hell are we doing? This is as stupid as can be.
Yeah. That's right.
And I'm not even talking with Christians anymore. I'm just talking with other people around me. And they obviously can know that it's like these people are self-serving. We were talking about this guy came here, and a company, basically it's an energy company here in South Carolina, and I know it shows what they make. Sorry, but they make tons and tons of money. These people make, and yet he says we don't have enough people out here to do the job. In other words, they're cutting everything down to the nil to make people work even harder, run here, run there, in such a way, and they don't give a damn. They don't.
Yeah, either you toe the line or you're gone. Yeah,
that's right. That's I have to have a job in order to, and that's what they're doing. People are working in jobs. They're not fulfilled. They're frustrated. They're ready to pull their hair out in reality, because this doesn't make any sense. It's not common sense.
That's right. That's right. No, that's it. You're saying what I'm thinking.
It's asinine.
It is. Yeah. Same is applicable to information that we're discussing at the moment, and religious information. It's all twisted and melted into this and churned over and pretending to be this and that when it's not, etc. It's so simple, this stuff. When you learn it and sit down and learn it, it becomes so easy and simple. It's just a simple psychological series of steps. That's it, really.
It's so sad. It really is.
It is, yeah.
Now, I talked to a guy yesterday and the day before, 2 days ago, with the same company, and he told me he was at home and he was celebrating his wife's, they were celebrating their wife's anniversary, so he had a couple of days off, and then he told me, he says, my granddaughter got killed. And I said, do what? He said she got shot at South Carolina State University.
What?
Yeah, a girl was actually at South Carolina State University. This was over what they call homecoming. It's all colleges celebrate what they call a homecoming. A lot to do with their football here game, and so people celebrate. And some guy, the story is this is about 45 miles from me, maybe 50 miles away from where I live, in a city called Orangeburg, South Carolina. Which Orangeburg is, the burg tells me, which it was one time long ago, was settled by German settlers, because the burg on the end. And there's different ones here in South Carolina, in towns like Bamberg, like Orangeburg, like Williamsburg. But anyway, she was killed. And it's almost as though, how dare you? We talked about a little bit about this. How dare you take somebody else's life? See, this is, and what's happening simply is, he just has, we don't know, they haven't gone any more in the story about it. But the sad story, here's the sad story, Phil. The guy, I know him, but he's a Christian. And he says and he said this word to me, and I didn't know how to respond, which I'm not going to respond anyway, because I think it's a crazy statement. It's God's will. I'm thinking, that's not God's will. God's will is not for someone, your granddaughter, to get killed here. That's not God's will.
That's right.
You're mixing up the pie here, buddy. That's not what it's about.
That's right.
See, so you can see how Christians are fooled with this whole mentality. Well, something bad happens, it must have been God's will.
Yeah, right. No.
God is not involved with that. I'm sorry. Right. You're making God into something that's.
That's right. That's right.
But how can you explain to these people? They're waiting for God to come back. Jesus to come back, such and such. How do you deal with this stuff?
Yeah. They need to reroute their psychology from the ground up. They need to be rerouted in actual reality, because that's just garbage. That's childish nonsense. Fairy tale
this
stuff.
Is why I see this everywhere with Christians. They say, well, that's God's will, such and such. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's like, it's almost like there's nothing we can do about it. It's like, but no,
it's God's will.
This is someone is robbed of their life. You've robbed them of living on this life, which we know by what you shared, that the person who's done this is going to suffer. Okay.
It's the opposite of God's will.
Right.
God's will is for you to ascend spiritually and become full like an angel. That's God's will.
That's God's will.
Anything short of that is not God's will.
That's not God's will, no.
Because that's God's only job, as it were, to ascend you. That's it. Yeah. That's all he does. Yeah.
He's not here to quote unquote, let this happen over here, this bad stuff. No. That makes him the devil.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't even know what they're saying.
That's right. That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. People are fooled, left, right, and center. Yeah, and they're childish. They make excuses because they don't know anything.
You see,
What a
it's
planet, eh?
also the attitude used from others too. This must be God's will that such and such. And I'm like,
Mm-mm.
but I remember even I said those things too. I said those things. But when I heard him say that, I'm like, I wanted to say, what the hell are you talking about? That's not God's will.
Mm-hmm.
How can it be? God is not about death.
That's right. That's exactly right.
That's how.
At least,
that's how
at least
far,
you know.
That's how far we've gone down the
Yeah.
path of ignorance. Is that
At least you know these
we
things.
actually blame God or
Yeah.
give as though He's done something wrong, and it's like, hello, that is
Yeah.
not God at all.
That's right. That's a typical demonic devil thing to do or say, to blame God for your own demonic nature. Yeah. Yeah. How despicable, eh? How much worse can it be in those terms? But then the devil is a liar, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's all lies, all that. Yeah. God doesn't lie. Unbelievable.
That's
Unbelievable.
the spirituality of people. And I was like, "Are you kidding?" When I was talking to him, I said, "No, are you telling me the truth?" I said, "Yeah, this is what happened. This was in November, no, in October. It's about 3 or 4 weeks ago." I said, "Have they caught?"
I heard about it. I actually heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know about the shooting. Yeah. Wow. Brent, we can carry on with the stuff next week. Well, I think I should wrap up.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
It's been an hour and a half. It's just I got to do bits and pieces as well before she gets back.
Sure.
Yeah. But we can carry on with that. We can do the second half of the cards if you want next time and look at those.
Sure.
Because we got to number 10 today and there's almost halfway.
Well, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking your time.
Thank you as well for
Yeah.
asking.
Thank you for being here, Phil.
Yeah.
I thank you for being here to help
Pleasure.
a few of us trying to figure this whole thing out. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm serious because none of it makes any sense now.
That's right.
It's almost becoming so foolish. It doesn't make sense this world we live in. But then that reality, it shows you the way the world is in ways too. So I would like to go through the 22 letters of the Hebrew, the languages, and I think this goes with what's his name.
Stan Tennant?
Yeah, Stan Tennant in his book. But how the pronunciation type of thing. But because I think that's where we'll start out is 22 letters and how we pronounce them. 'Cause, I hope you can know how to pronounce Hebrew because I don't. So.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your time, Phil. It's
Pleasure.
good to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you for your goodness to me
all right.
immensely. I'm serious, very serious. Appreciate you very
No,
much.
that's right. Yeah.
And I'll let you go. I know you got to go feed
Okay.
your cat. The cat's gonna be.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll see what he's doing. No, I don't know what he's doing.
Okay. Uh-oh. All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
I'll see you soon. You speak soon.